Hello there folks, SeKo Starcraft bringing you some pro replays while he's having some gin and hypnotic. Got SeleCT versus Battousai. I shouldn't put an accent on that, I have no idea what that's supposed to say. Anyways, haven't seen a lot of SeleCT in tournament action lately. I think he did take a couple of stabs in some recent ones. Didn't get super far. But every now and then he crops up on the replay downloads that I can find out of his latter games, and that was good. He is still an amazingly fun player to watch. Somebody kind of like Dragon out of Korea that just plays at an amazingly high level and puts on super entertaining games, but doesn't really go for anything too ridiculous. Oh, I was wondering if that guy was going to go even further, maybe proxy something. Not yet. Anyways, a Zerg versus Terran. On the note of Dragon, I was very impressed to see him get picked up by a team and actually spend more time on tournaments. Didn't have the best success, but he's just such a fan favorite. So many followers on Twitch. If you guys have the opportunity to see him stream, the guy is super funny. Sucks. He is a blasty blast to watch. And particularly his troll games. He plays all races pretty good, though he masters in Terran. You say masters. What do you... primaries in Terran? Whatever, I don't care. You know, I've watched hundreds and hundreds of replays, and you still got to find some way to be excited about the early game of any Zerg versus Terran matchup. What can you do? We did have the gas shortly after barracks. It wasn't before the barracks. Nothing too weird. SCVs already lined up to take their little jugs of Vespine. Almost look like Heineken like barrels. Have you guys seen like little Heineken mini kegs you can get at the liquor store? I'm not a huge Heineken fan, so I haven't done that in a long time. But they're originally Molson Canadian, because I'm from Canada. Came out with this thing called Bubba kegs, and these little tiny steel kegs. I don't even know what to give them a size. Maybe about the size of a big car battery or something like that. They were kind of cool, but nobody would ever buy them because the beer wasn't that great and they were hard to pour and really gross. But they went on sale one time for super cheap, so me and a bunch of my buddies bought out as many as we could and had one of the craziest crappy Bubba keg parties I've ever seen in my life, but it was still glorious. Reaper's on the way from our Terran player. I have been working along with the double Reaper opening quite a bit recently against when I'm playing Zerg and Terran players, even Protoss sometimes, because two Reapers can get a lot of damage in, but even if they don't, it just makes sure that your opponent really can't come after you. You can scout with them. They're faster than anything else in the early game. So I use them extensively. I actually played a really good game recently. I might cast it, where I did a double Reaper opening into Hellion and Marauder. Nice snipe. And it worked out super well. Cancelled the third base, killed the natural. You gotta be very careful as a Zerg player with your timings on this. The Zerg opening is a little bit out of favor, but if you don't get your queen super early or speed down, you run into a ton of trouble. Case in point, this Reaper did get himself, where'd he go? 3 kills, and did a bunch of delaying, which is fine. Roach Warren is finished. It's a very early Roach Warren. I don't know if it's defensive yet or not. He could be going for some sort of pressure. He likely does know that there is an expansion going down. Bunker, the thing about a Terran that opens with Reaper, it likely is going to go into Hellion against Zerg. So if you make something like 6 to 8 Roaches, you can generally catch your opponent really off guard and make them sometimes cancel or lift off their command center on the low ground. Tough to say though. Factory finish, just waiting for a couple of more Marines to pop out, and a mine. A good safe little bet. What did he just cancel? I wonder if he cancelled his lair. I don't know if anybody else caught that. He cancelled something there that was making... It was either an upgrade or his lair. Looks like just the one Roach out right now, just to be a bit of a bully. Make sure nobody comes closer. Units wise, yeah, SeleCT is down quite a bit in workers, but he does have some pretty good tech up. Is this an armor? Yep, we might be going into some Hellbat drops. The oh so not popular anymore. Oh, yeah, I think he canceled his lair to make it down here. Very strange. It does give your hatch a little bit more hit points, so sometimes it's worthwhile, particularly in the late game if you get dropped a lot in the main. This is, in the late game, a lot more likely to get sniped than this is. So this isn't too uncommon. I do it sometimes as well if I think the game is going to go late. It's hard to say in the first, 7 or 8 minutes if the game is going to go late, but you know if you've got an opening that's like, oh, I'm just going to build a ton of drones, I'm going to defend up well, or I'm going to build some siege tanks, some turrets, and I'm just going to get a bunch of command centers, be fine. There's the Hellbats for the dropping. Third base, about the 7-minute mark, pretty standard, not super early, and it's not really delayed. The Reapers and Hellions, which are super common for this type of matchup, really didn't make their appearance. Instead, he skipped and went for Hellbats, and that's usually a tell as a Zerg player. If you don't see those Hellions out patrolling the map, you can generally think to yourself that there's some other tech coming. That might be Banshees, case in point, a Spore and a Spine, the Spore, or he might be going for something like a super outdated but still fun to use Hellbat drop. This is not going to get scouted until it's almost right on top of the army, and it's becoming a pretty interesting trend right now for Zergs to skip creep between their bases. There's speed for almost all the units that you can get. Ventral Sacks. What if he's going to go for a main base drop of Roaches? That could be kind of cool. Where the hell did that Hellbat drop go? Did I totally lose it? There it is. Might be able to pick off a couple of workers down here. He does make a couple of extractors at the last minute. It's just kind of smart. I don't mind that at all. I don't think this drop's going to get a lot done. Dropping into there would be suicide. Spore Crawler Queen, some Roaches, and a Spine. Yeah, he cancels those. He doesn't need that gas just yet. Supply block pretty heavily right now, though. That's a problem if you really want to get heavy on Roaches. That's how I lose a lot of ZVZ games, is I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go super heavy on Roaches, and then you just supply block yourself all the time. With the medics overhead, these Hellbats actually are fairly effective. I mean, they can't stand there toe-to-toe forever, but they do get a pretty good amount of damage on. This little group is not really designed to win, it's just trying to get a cancel on the third base. This amount of Roaches out, though, makes me think that that might not work unless he gets the sickest. He loses both mines cheaply. Only a couple of Marauders in here. That's a lot of Roaches. I don't think he's got enough. Yeah, he doesn't have enough to deal with that. He's got to pick up and go home. Yeah, there we go. I don't think that SeleCT is aware of this. Huge swarm of Roaches. What the hell's up with that guy? That's really funny. He was shrouded. What can you do? So speed and drops are ready. It does not look as though SeleCT is ready, though. Still working on his production. Looks like this might get this cancel on this or kill on this base, but there's nothing in place to deal with these Roaches right now. That's a lot of Roaches. Pulls everything he's got, and he might have to right now. But SCVs do so bad against the Roaches. They die so fast. What he really wants to do is keep all of the Marauders alive. They're the real damage dealers in this mix. The more workers he can kill, though, the better off he is. Oh, man. Roaches just don't die in this early game like this. He's got to be careful with... Oh, nice snipe on the Widowmine. I was about to say, you got to be careful that that doesn't come back and kill you. Still dropping over here. He's getting some damage done. Zerg player is going to return home with those Roaches to deal. Looks like he busted in the front at the same time. Pretty big Widowmine hits, but it takes so long to recharge that I don't think he's going to be able to recover from this. He's going to try to stop the... Oh, combat shields. That'd be helpful. Nope, it's going to go down. He does clean up at home. SeleCT is going to try to make a game of this, but I don't think it's going to work out. He's down to almost a third of the supply of his opponent. Widow Mine still kicking it. He might be able to clean this up, but I don't... Oh, maybe not. The Overseer overhead. Should snipe off those mines, but he's got the chance. He does. This is nice play out of Battousai, and I'd like to see more Zerg players do this. As a Terran player, if something gets inside my base, it's so hard for me to deal with. All the major splash damage and attack types that I have. Try to drag the Widow Mines into the units there. It's pretty tough with Roaches though. Stim is finished. So he's going to make the most he can out of this. At home, the Zerg player is going to get down to third base. There are 3 command centers out for Select, so I mean in the grand scheme of things, he could make a show of this, but that's so many Roaches. Even if they don't have any upgrades. And Select GG's out. Pretty good play though to Battousai. I haven't seen that strategy used in a long time. That I'm just going to go 3 base nice and easy, get up a ton of Roaches, drops, and speed, and just destroy somebody that's trying to macro up. And caught him at a great time when his production buildings are still being made. Fun little game by Battousai. Select unfortunately doesn't take that one, but we should have some more games from him in the near future.